Welcome back, everyone, to the Music Producer Revolution here at Neosonus. Today, we're going to be talking in this short video about the Universal Music Group lawsuit against Tunecore, and I'm going to do a larger video on it tomorrow because I believe the fallout from this, as well as the moves that TikTok has made, is going to really change how we go about our production processing. It seems like sampling is going and resampling is going to be a lot more difficult, if not nigh impossible. But again, that will be in tomorrow's video. Uh, we're going to just talk about this because I didn't see too many videos on it or anyone else really talking about it recently. So here we have the headline. Universal Music Group sues Believe and TuneCore for $500 million, alleging industrial scale copyright infringement. The complaint, which we will not be reading here, I'll provide a link for it if anyone wants to see it, was filed in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York and focuses in part on the dissemination of so-called manipulated audio. That's going to be key. That's referring to sampling. So it says, Universal Music Group, ABKCO, and Concord claim that Believe has achieved significant growth by acting as a hub for distributing unauthorized copies of copyrighted recordings to major platforms including TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and Instagram. UMG alleges that often Believe distributes overtly infringing versions of original tracks by famous artists with notations that they are sped up or remixed. And we know how prevalent that's on every bit of social media. Every song is either a slowed down version, a reverbed and slowed, sped up, or some other type of fast editing. Spokesperson for Universal Music Group said of the lawsuit, Believe is a company built on industrial scale copyright infringement. Their illegal practices are not limited to cheating artists on major labels, but also to artists on independent labels as well, including artists on the independent labels within the trade bodies of which Believe itself as a member. So what the spokesperson is essentially saying here is that even artists that are releasing music on independent labels that it seems that are operating in the same realm, possibly in the same publisher, that their music is also being infringed by this large scale copyright. As you'll see here, it says these examples include tracks uploaded by artists using slightly misspelled versions of famous names such as Kendrick Lamar, Ariana Grande, and Justin Bieber, and Lady Gaga. I would assume also from what the spokesperson says is that even if you're an independent artist and you've released music on a small label, someone could rip your song, put a slowed down version of it, and then release it as their own. And TuneCore was really just kind of letting that slide. It says many of the unauthorized tracks are described as sped up or remixed versions of original recording by the following artists, as you can see there: ABBA, BC Boys, Bon Jovi, Daddy Yankee, Drake, Diana Ross, and the list goes on. And then it says, additionally, UMG et al. Note that Believe has distributed millions of tracks, more than the combined catalog of major labels and legitimate independent labels, to digital streaming providers. That's actually a lot. The lawsuit claims while Believe is fully aware that its business model is fueled by rampant piracy, it has eschewed basic measures to prevent copyright violations and turned a blind eye to the fact that its music catalog was rife with copyright infringing sound recordings. In their particular case, chose to focus on YouTube's Content ID system. And if you uploaded music to SoundCloud or release music through SoundCloud ID or really just any of these digital streaming providers, that connect to YouTube at least, you will notice that it's very easy for a song to get flagged in another video, um, and even how sometimes inaccurate this system actually is. Let's continue though. Universal Music Group and its co-plaintiffs accused Believe of manipulating the system to claim ownership of the copyrights in the recordings embodied in the tracks it distributes and uses those systems to monetize uses of those recordings. and claims that even after losing such disputes on YouTube, Believe continues to distribute the same infringing tracks on other platforms like Spotify and Apple Music. And I want to make this kind of clear. When I say Believe here, you can just swap that out for TuneCore. It's the same thing. So we're going to continue even more. There's more of the complaints there. According to Universal, these tracks remain available on other platforms even after TuneCore acknowledged that they had no rights to the content on YouTube. And it says that as a distributor, TuneCore had specific knowledge of infringement or at minimum was actually aware of facts indicating a high likelihood of infringement, but continued to distribute and purport to license the same tracks to other services, continuing to violate the plaintiff's copyrights and to divert royalties that ought to flow to the plaintiffs. This lawsuit emerges against the backdrops of concerns over unauthorized modified tracks, particularly on TikTok. It follows Universal's recent confrontation with ByteDance, the parent company of TikTok, involving 37,000 takedown requests affecting over 120 million TikTok videos earlier this year. It also builds on a potential precedent from Sony Music's case against an artist called Trey Fuego in April over his track 90mh, which was based around a sped up sample of the 1986 track Reflections by Japanese composer Hinata, which Sony represents. So that's kind of where I want to leave it here. Actually, no, there's one more thing that I'll say. There was in the Trey Fuego case, it says the Sony X Trey Fuego case notably targeted the individual artist rather than distributor DistroKid, although the distributor had to pay a $14,000 chunk of Trey Fuego's $800,000 damages to Sony. It says DistroKid's distribution agreement, which artists read, says you shall indemnify and hold harmless, and upon our request, defend DistroKid from all claims, suits, proceedings, disputes, etc., resulting from any claim that the recordings, materials, data, or information provided or authorized by you violates or infringes the rights of another party. Similarly, Believe and TuneCore's terms and agreements, which have said effectively since April 2021, also has the same indemnification clause saying, you agree to indemnify and hold harmless Believe and TuneCore, subsidiaries, affiliates, or any related companies from any and all claims, losses, obligations, damages, liabilities, etc., including claims that any of your user content infringes or violates any third-party intellectual property rights. And it also says that this isn't the first time that TuneCore has been sued over copyright infringement. And in 2022, they were hit with a lawsuit from New York-based publisher Round Hill Music over the alleged reproduction and distribution of musical compositions owned or controlled by Round Hill. So that is essentially the lawsuit. They're saying that TuneCore believe they allow a lot of these, sped up, easily edited remixes of songs to be distributed to streaming stores, and it's not the official record. They're doing it to the artists. They're ripping the songs and reproducing them, saying that they own it. It's all about ownership and the publishing. What I think this means is that if, especially with the Trey Fuego case with Sony, if even if you sped up this, this song, if it was instrumental, I don't know, I haven't heard the song, but then you're actually remixing, like he rapped over it, there's other things in it, I'm assuming. I don't think it would just be the sped up sample with the original drums. I would assume that he actually did some processing into it. Um, I find it, I find that and think that sampling is dead. But that is a discussion for tomorrow. That's going to be what tomorrow's video is about. Is sampling dead? And if it is, how do we go forward as music producers in our processes? So stick around tomorrow, and I will see you all then.